The White Man of Anna Drive, Vern Nelson. Now that we Anaheim residents are finally allowed to comment here after 10 months of being silenced, I know we're supposed to feel grateful for the crumbs of democracy thrown our way. But we're the biggest city in Orange County, and there's no reason our meetings should be the most ghetto, the least accessible, the worst sound quality, except that's the way Mayor Sidhu likes it. And right now, 5 of you go along with everything Mayor Sidhu wants so far. Way back in April, when we wanted to do Zoom meetings here, the mayor used the excuse of some porn bombing incident that happened once in Laguna Beach. But he also told the Voice of OC, don't worry, quote, we're putting off considering major non-emergency items until we can safely and responsibly do so before the public. In the meantime, we're making sure we hear from our community at each and every meeting. Yeah, sure. Since then, he has finalized the development plans for the stadium property, given away many millions of dollars unnecessarily, including Visit Anaheim, and conducted dozens of so-called public hearings that were not public hearings. And there was nothing any of us could say about any of it except to send in emails that went into some kind of circular file or trash can. Nearly every other city in the county has been using Zoom or Cisco Webex to do their meetings since this pandemic started, and allowing their residents to call in to comment live. Just watch a meeting in Huntington Beach, Fullerton, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa. You can see each member as they discuss and make decisions and votes that affect their residents' lives, and you can see and hear the public commenting. And they don't have to stand outside City Hall in the cold, go through security, risk their health during the pandemic, etc., just to speak through the council. Why can't Anaheim do this as well as Costa Mesa or Santa Ana? Are we that poor? I know a lot of bad decisions have been made over the last couple of years that have gotten our debt up to $800 million, but a lot of us out here would have spoken up to try to stop those decisions if we could have. I went ahead and I priced how much it would cost for Anaheim to run its meetings on Cisco Webex, which is better than Zoom, and the price is $192 for all of this year, 2021. If the city can't afford that, I'll pay for it myself. What do you say, Jordan, Avelino, Steve, Jose Diaz? You don't have to follow the mayor on everything, you know. Which reminds me, is it that important to sideline Dr. Moreno on everything that you break your campaign promises? Not only the promises Jordan and Avelino made to help him agendize his issues, but even matters you promised to the community while you were campaigning. Steve, Jordan, and Avelino all said they would support the designating of Little Arabia, but you just had to say no 2 meetings ago just because it was Moreno who brought it up. Hell, you couldn't even give him a third last May to declare a day honoring Anaheim's graduates during the coronavirus. This pettiness has gone way too far. But what can we do out here but keep speaking out and not give up? Will one of you please propose Webex meetings so Anaheim doesn't have to be more ghetto than Costa Mesa and Santa Ana? 3 more of you say okay and I'll pay for it myself. $192 a year. I can handle that. The White Man of Anna Drive. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, and colleagues, I would like to ask for your support in agendizing a discussion and direct staff to present us with options of how we can better involve our public in public comment. Currently, 3 of us do not feel comfortable still going to council chambers. Everybody, any extra bodies that we add in a closed environment puts everyone at risk. So the less people, the less risk. So, which is why I've chosen to not go in person to the council meetings. I would hope that we do have the ability and availability of technology to help bridge the gap. So at the very least, I hope that we can open up public comment to either allow folks to call in and be on the queue on teleconference, just as council members do, or to create a video presence through Zoom or WebEx or other devices to allow the public, as they do in the Police Review Board, neighborhood meetings now use Zoom through our staff. So I'd like to agendize a discussion of the feasibility of opening up public comment through teleconference, video conferencing, along with, of course, the physical presence. I just think that a lot of people do want to comment, but maybe per our own advice, they're staying home, sheltering, and not taking any risk by coming out. So I'd like to agendize that discussion for our next council meeting, and would like a second or a third.
Go ahead,
Just
Councilman.
asking for a discussion, colleagues.
Thank you.
Colleagues, I'm just asking for a discussion of how we can make our council meetings more accessible to the public via teleconference, video conference, rather than asking them to take the risk and come out to public comment to us. Okay.
Mr. City Manager, I'm going to ask you, maybe you can explain that, you know, since January, how we have opened our city council and our communication with the public comments. Can you please address that? We've been very transparent. Can you give that example?
Certainly. So the protocol.
Councilmember Moreno, Councilmember Moreno, this is not your time at this time. Your time is up. Mr. Councilmember Moreno, your time is up. I'm asking the city manager right now. Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, can you please opine on this? I believe that there's an agenda item about to be discussed.
Councilmember Moreno, at this time, your time is up.
Mr. Mayor,
You're out of order.
I would just suggest that the city manager keep his response brief.
You're out of order at this time. I have asked the city manager to respond to me. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. City Manager.
So the public has two ways of communicating public comments at each council meeting. They may submit comments in writing to the city clerk's office, and they are made public 2 hours prior to, if they're submitted in advance, or in real time as they're submitted after that time. In addition to that, the public may come to City Hall, where they can speak into a microphone in our lobby, which is piped into the city council chambers and to the public.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Ward. I'm an Anaheim native, a longtime community volunteer, and recently returned to being a political activist. And I'm absolutely positively not supposed to be here tonight. I was diagnosed with cancer last year, and while I was told last week that we have beaten the cancer, my immune system is still compromised from the chemotherapy, and I'm really still not supposed to be exposed to public settings, especially indoors like we are tonight. But when my only option to safely communicate with my elected officials is to send an email I know the city clerk will faithfully distribute, and I equally believe won't be opened or read by half of you, my only choice is to take a chance and come here in person. I'm here because at the last council meeting, Dr. Moreno respectfully asked for a public debate with input from our professional staff on how to include residents in these meetings in a safer way with better, more reliable technology. I was ashamed to see he could not get a second or third vote of support from his colleagues to even discuss this issue. I'm ashamed, but I'm not surprised that 6 elected officials are too afraid to talk about participation for your own constituents, because I've witnessed firsthand the power that comes with access to this microphone. Between 2010 and 2018, over $1 billion, that's billion with a B, in bad ideas were rejected because of public input, from subsidizing a poorly conceived streetcar to leasing prime taxpayer-owned real estate for $1 a year. Over $1 billion was not squandered over the prior decade because residents came to this microphone and said no until leaders listened. And that is why I believe Mayor Sidhu has been manipulating since literally his first night in office to control participation in these meetings for both the public and his own colleagues. Mayor Sidhu knows that public opinion will oppose special interests strip mining our hometown. The great question is, why are 5 of you following the mayor over this cliff? You do know the lemmings don't make out well at the end of that story, right? If you truly believe you are representing the best interests of your constituents, why would you fail to even discuss expanding online access to this microphone so that the people who liked you enough to elect you may praise your visionary leadership from the safety of our homes, as other smaller cities with fewer resources have managed to do? So, no, I'm not supposed to be here tonight, but I'm not going to cower in fear and say nothing when my neighbors are being silenced. Sadly, I must leave that to 6 of the 7 of you. Good night, gentlemen.